A seminal shift is one that alters a balance of power in the world. Was a failed seminal shift attempt planned at the SCO Summit in China? Reportedly, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Vladimir Putin held a private 45-minute car meeting on the SCO Summit sidelines, described as unplanned and unusually long, diverging from standard protocol. According to multiple reports, the leaders stayed inside a convoy vehicle with tinted glass as schedules quietly shifted around them. Why such an unusual pause? According to Indian and Russian media accounts, the timing overlapped with broader allegations. A U.S. officer reportedly found dead in Dhaka, Bangladesh, deteriorating India-U.S. ties, and questions about surveillance and counter-surveillance around the summit. Welcome to Seminal Affairs. Today we examine whether that extended car discussion signaled deeper coordination, reported, not proven, possibly amid an active covert threat environment. We'll follow the reported timeline, protocol anomalies, and competing claims to assess what might have been happening behind the glass. Allegations only according to sources, but the questions are real. September 2025, Dhaka. In what some analysts describe as a simmering shadow war environment, routine diplomacy abroad collided with darker allegations at home. Reportedly in the city was Colonel Terrence Arvell Jackson, 50, a U.S. officer and Inspector General of 1st Special Forces Command, said to be months from retirement. Multiple reports claim he was found dead in room 808 of the Westin Hotel. According to local reporting and diplomatic chatter, U.S. Embassy personnel moved rapidly once the death was discovered. A discreet, highly controlled response inside the hotel corridors. Allegations further state the body was transferred quickly without a public autopsy or post-mortem, alongside a brief clarification of natural causes before repatriation. To be clear, these are reported claims, not yet verified in full by public records. Still, multiple intelligence services operating in Dhaka were allegedly aware of more than was officially stated, a detail that deepens the sense of a contested information space. Outside the headlines, Dhaka's streets kept moving, cameras on poles, police tape, conference shuttles, and quiet diplomatic compounds. Inside, the scene is reconstructed only through fragments, a door plate marked 808, hushed hallway exchanges, and bags moved with professional economy. None of this, on its own, proves a plot. But taken together, the timing, the venue, the quiet handling and competing whispers, it frames the wider scene many now allege, a contested, covert struggle unfolding in Dhaka's shadows. Treat these claims with caution. Verification remains incomplete. Here are the key timeline anomalies and the warnings that shadow them. First, the reported 45-minute unplanned car huddle between Putin and Modi. For leaders at this level, that's a notable break in protocol, and in VIP security doctrine, exactly the kind of controlled hold window used to assess and manage threat. Second, insistence on joint travel and additional delay. Textbook playbook when a risk is flagged. Buy time, reroute, neutralize, without advertising that an operation may be underway. Security teams train for this. If a credible threat pings the net, cars pause, paths change, and the perimeter tightens. Was Tianjin simply courteous choreography, or a real-time shield forming behind tinted glass? Now, the warnings. Sources cited in regional reporting claim Russian channels had been sharing intelligence with India for nearly 3 years, cautioning that if ties with Washington soured, the U.S. would leave no stone unturned. These are claims, not certainties. But if accurate, they frame the summit delays not as theater, rather as disciplined risk management aligned with prior alerts. Also in the timeline, Dhaka to Tianjin. The officer's death and the summit movements overlap in hours. Correlation isn't proof, but it's an anomaly investigators would log. Layered atop this are circulating unverified allegations of multiple attempts on Vladimir Putin, poison scenarios, manipulation of inner circle guards, even cyber mapping of convoy routes, reported over recent years but not conclusively proven. Taken together, an unusual car hold, protocol bends, prior warnings, and a death off stage. Coincidence? Or indicators of active operations moving in the background? According to regional critics and several attribution-heavy reports, Bangladesh is being turned into a backyard for US-led regime influence, allegedly a launchpad for operations near India. These claims remain unproven. Reported movements by U.S. officials, most notably Colonel Terrence Arvell Jackson and Ambassador Peter Haas, are said to include multiple trips to Chittagong and Cox's Bazar over 6 months, under covers like business, consultancy, or renewable energy. These are allegations cited by regional media and opposition figures, not verified facts. Analysts quoted in open-source reporting describe a familiar pattern: personnel staged in third countries during high-value meetings. Bangladesh, long discussed as a listening post near India and China, fits that template, again, as an allegation rather than a confirmed program. Placed against the summit timeline, some Indian media, such as Organizer and Defense Commentary, frame these threads together. Jackson's presence in Dhaka, the SCO meetings, and reported protocol deviations around Modi's movements. Hypothesis only, India and Russia synchronized to mitigate a perceived threat. None of this is independently proven. Sources point to redacted travel logs, innocuous office meets, and low-visibility movements, classic layers of cutouts. The through line, Dhaka as staging ground. The objective, proximity to India's leadership ecosystem. Attribution is contested. Details are fragmentary. Counterpoints matter. U.S. officials have not confirmed any covert targeting of Modi, and such travel can align with routine diplomacy or economic initiatives. There is no public proof the CIA ordered an assassination attempt. These remain allegations and interpretations. Bangladesh's coast, Chittagong to Cox's Bazar, offers logistics corridors along the Bay of Bengal and access toward India's northeast. Critics allege these routes enabled discreet liaison and comms. Again, claims, not confirmed operations. Pulling the strands together, alleged staging in Bangladesh, unusual summit day protocols, and a sudden death in Dhaka form an intelligence mosaic. Suggestive, not dispositive. It's the layering that raises questions as the Tianjin narrative intersects with Dhaka. The allegation is not that Putin merely smoothed logistics, but that Russia actively created a protective bubble around Modi. Analysts point to a layered protocol break. Putin waited, pressed for joint travel, and kept the leaders in the car, moves consistent with a short, controlled security window. On camera, it reads as courtesy. Off camera, it can buy time for threat assessment, route changes, and quiet coordination. Russia and India share a long, pragmatic intelligence relationship. Defense sourcing, training exchanges, counter-terror coordination. If on that day their services moved in synchrony, it would fit precedent. Parallel channels, rapid deconfliction, and a shared interest in neutralizing any credible threat to the Indian Prime Minister without public footprints. If that reading holds, Putin appears less host than protector during a high-risk interlude, visible yet insulated, close enough to synchronize decisions minute by minute. Consider what such a window enables. Motorcades pause at secure perimeters, handlers on earpieces scan, alternate corridors open, and updates cycle from operations rooms mapping Asia. None of this proves active intervention. It simply describes how a protection posture would look in practice. Long-lens security tells the same story. Rooftops checked, vantage points cleared, movements slowed to the pace of information. These are textbook delay and neutralize tactics, compatible with heightened caution or with an active response to a developing plot. So where does that leave us? With a plausible, unverified reading, Russia may have acted as Modi's protector at Tianjin. Until records surface, this remains an allegation, credible to some, contestable to others, and a signal to watch the playbook, not just the photo ops. Important caveats: there is no publicly verified proof of a CIA-directed plot against Prime Minister Modi. What we have are allegations and analytical viewpoints, competing interpretations built on timing, protocol deviations, and gaps in transparency. One interpretation frames India's civilizational nationalist orientation against a liberal value-based order favored by many in the West. Analysts say this tension underpins today's narratives, shaping how each side reads the same events. The policy divergences, in brief: first, strategic autonomy and economic nationalism, Atmanirbharta, data localization, versus U.S. expectations of alignment and deeper integration. Commentators argue this structural mismatch fuels suspicion when crises arise. Second, critics allege a three-step order used by outside actors: build and influence ecosystem through civil society, then manufacture movements or anarchy at scale. Examples cited include unrest like Manipur, and finally, in prolonged chaos where regime change seems impossible, target elimination. These are allegations, not established fact. What it could mean, if the allegations are true, major power intelligence politics may be evolving, from intervening within states to maneuvering around other leaders during moments of instability. If false, we are looking at misread signals in a tense, multipolar environment. The evidence remains inconclusive. What else to watch for? Since 2023, multiple reports allege unrest in India's northeast, especially Manipur, was stoked through intersecting networks, select NGOs as cover fronts, narcotics routes, and illicit firearms. Analysts further claim that by 2024, staging bases shifted from Myanmar into Bangladesh, creating a more direct logistical link into Manipur. The alleged objective? Spread anarchy nationwide, then exploit the chaos to threaten top leaders. These are serious claims, still unproven, but the pattern, if true, would suggest a long game. Caveat: much remains unverified. Open questions persist on sources, methods, and attribution. Public reporting so far includes organizer coverage and defense news-style analyses, alongside Indian media timelines, none conclusive. Evaluate the evidence yourself. Does this read as a coordinated campaign, or as coincidences misread under tension? If this breakdown helped, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and add your assessment in the comments, respectfully. Thanks for watching. This is Seminal Affairs, where we dig deeper behind the headlines.